Let's also take a look over here. We teased it in the headline. I think this is pretty significant, guys. Probably actually more significant than Michael Bennett or even Tim Kaine. George motherfucking Clooney, guys. George Clooney. I love Joe Biden, but we need a new nominee. And like I said, yes, George Clooney is just a celebrity, but as Zach mentioned, he's also a Democratic Party mega donor. This guy is essentially a billionaire after selling his tequila brand, and he has a lot of sway, not just as a fundraiser, but also as a socialite, kind of just a aristocrat of his own right. This is not someone that the Democratic Party wants to be on the wrong side of. And I think this is very, very important, specifically some of the details that Clooney chooses to share. They're so damning that I actually speculate Clooney already knows Biden is going, gone, and that he just wants to be on the right side of history by pinning this op-ed before it actually happens. But I'll get Zach's opinion on that when he gets back. Let's take a look. Clooney says, "I'm a lifelong Democrat. I make no apologies for that. I'm proud of what my party represents." They should have released like a narrated version of this piece. You know how sometimes on NPR you can like listen to this article? I wish we could do that with this one because of George Clooney's great voice. But anyway, you'll have to listen to mine instead. Sorry, guys. He said, "I'm proud of what my party represents and what it stands for as a part of my participation in the democratic process and in my support for the chosen candidate. I have led some of the biggest fundraisers in my party's history. Barack Obama in 2012, Hillary Clinton in 2016, Joe Biden in 2020. Last month, I co-hosted the single largest fundraiser supporting any Democratic candidate ever for President Biden's re-election. I say all of this only to express how much I believe in this process and how profound I think this moment is. I love Joe Biden as a senator, as a vice president, and a president. I consider him a friend, and I believe in him. Believe in his character and his morals. In the last 4 years, he's won many of the battles.
I believe in his characters and his morals.
But the one battle he cannot win is the fight against time. None of us can. It's devastating to say it, but the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe big fucking deal Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate. And like I was saying, Zach, while you were in the bathroom, this is such a damning detail to me, in my opinion, that he's actually, sharing a private anecdote about a fundraiser that he hosted. He's actually spilling the tea essentially on Biden's condition at this closed door private event. That's in any other circumstance a huge faux pas, right? The elites, those events are closed door for a reason. They want exclusive access to the president. They don't want any leaks. They don't want people knowing what's going on. For him to come out here and straight up be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I hosted the biggest fucking fundraiser of the Democratic Party's cycle, and Joe Biden was a zombie at it. I couldn't even communicate with him." Essentially, that's what he's getting at. Because why the fuck do you think they have these fundraisers? Not just because they want the candidate to win, but they want to get in the candidate's ear. They want to be able to have a line to the candidate.
Listen, Joe, agave, the farmers. I have a progressive image to uphold, Joseph, President Biden. However, I also have a bottom line. I'm going to need you to open up the border a little bit more, sir. The undocumented workforce is critical to my business. Casamigos, you understand? They don't want to see, you understand. So thank you, sir. Thank you, President Biden. Make sure that's resolved for me. Thank you, sir. Make sure his people wrote that down. Thank you.
Yeah. But like I said, they want actual, connection to these people they're donating to. They want to be able to call them up and ask for favors, or maybe not that obvious, but they at least want a relationship with the people they're giving this much money to.
On the day of his daughter's wedding, they show up and
right. And like I said, guys, this is pretty damning shit. I honestly don't think that George Clooney would have written this op-ed or shared this private detail if he didn't already know that Joe Biden was going to go as the candidate, that Joe Biden wasn't going to be the nominee. And I think that George Clooney now wants to be on the right side of history. He wants to publish this op-ed before the public knows what's going to happen. That way people can't be like, why the fuck were you just hosting this massive fundraiser for this guy? What?
He's playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
Gotta give it to the Kloonmeister.
Exactly. And like I said, he doesn't want to be accused of enabling this after the fact, after Trump has won. He doesn't want to be one of the people that, voters point their finger at and say, why the fuck did you enable this? Why did you give this guy all this money instead of pressuring him to drop out when we all saw the iceberg straight ahead?
You'd rather just write off the financial waste and sweep it under the rug like he did when we all saw the Monuments Men.
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of my take. I don't think that I genuinely don't think that George Clooney would be, sharing those sorts of details if there wasn't something like that afoot that he's gotten wind of.
I think you're starting to convince me, even though I've been trying to be firm in my convictions just because it's good for the show, right? To have us disagree a little bit. I agree that there's obviously more pressure than there's ever been to get rid of the guy. My question for you is the process now. Let's unpack the process. How does it go from George Clooney, who obviously has a wad, Abigail Disney, who obviously has an even bigger wad, these people who typically dictate and get what they want. I mean, they represent Hollywood. There's Silicon Valley and Wall Street. Those are the three parties at the dinner table that kind of, all said representation and get the Democrats across the finish line. That and when they're manipulating the working class into thinking that they're doing something for them when obviously we know they're not. How does it go from that disapproval, which I agree is the most damning, having a Michael Bennett, having a Adam Smith, having basically a Nancy Pelosi, although she didn't say it quite so directly. George Stephanopoulos said he definitely wanted to see him go, didn't think he could serve another 4 more years, right? How do you go from that level of discontent to replacing Joe Biden without, as my grandpa, I think accidentally probably suggested on 4 different occasions with these super chats. Shout out to you, Grandpa. Really appreciate the support. Why not use the 25th to boot Biden? He says he will not step down. First black female president, Kamala, can carry them to victory. I think that's definitely like a potential outcome. I know Gavin thinks that even replacing Biden with Kamala is as close as you can get to a surefire path to victory. And also, they do have the selling point of a first black president, potentially
black female president.
Yeah, excuse me, and the first woman president. Period.
Yeah.
So you're going to carry a lot of the identity politics vote. Not that that's a bad thing, but just it does. People who vote based off of I want representation. That is, something that Joe Biden doesn't have right now. He also doesn't have his mind left.
Yeah, I think that what happens, Zach, is that we're going to see more and more damning evidence that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Joe Biden not only can't win the presidential election, but that he's going to take the whole freaking party down with him. As we see here, Cook Political Report is shifting 6 electoral college ratings towards Republicans. Arizona went from toss up to lean R. Georgia toss up to lean R. Minnesota likely D to lean D. Nebraska's second district.
That's the Omaha. That's where I was at yesterday. What up?
Yep, likely D to lean D. New Hampshire likely D to lean D. Nevada toss up to lean R. I saw some forecasting outlet saying that New York is actually going to become a swing
I saw
state.
That battleground.
Yeah. Like that actually, Joe Biden could just barely even win in a state like New York. So eventually, the polls are going to get so bad. It's going to get so obvious that not only will Biden lose, but so will many of the down ballot Democrats, that eventually, I don't even think the 25th Amendment is going to have to come into play. I think that, eventually he can be convinced, right? If not Joe Biden, then Jill Biden. If not Jill Biden, then someone in his inner circle is at some point going to realize that, not only is Biden going to take down the whole country, but he's going to take down his own family, his own legacy, his own standing in the community, all of this stuff. At some point, the floodgates will truly open up and Biden will step down. That's my opinion. And like I said, I don't think the 25th Amendment is going to have to come into play or anything like that. I just think eventually enough people are going to come in the Oval Office and they're going to pat Joe Biden on the back and he's going to, the gig is up. What's he going to do? They're not going to literally have to pull him out screaming and crying. At some point he will be okay, yeah, the gig is up. If Nancy Pelosi, Jim Clyburn, Chuck Schumer, all these senators, they're all in the Oval Office saying, all right, Joe, thank you so much for your service. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, legally, he could just say, fuck you. He could just say, fuck you.
Hunter Biden could be like, Dad, come on, Dad, you have one last fight in you, Dad. Come on, I really think it's better for the family. If you serve another 4 years, Dad, did you find my personal items back that I might have left in the Oval Office? No, I'm kidding. I think that Hunter Biden's clean from crack now, as far as we know.
Maybe,
Bro. But anyway,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. But to be honest, dude, our main disagreement is that you think that they have a snowball chance in hell at beating Donald Trump in November. And I just think it's so fucking Jover. I think they're beyond fucked. I think they waited way too long and now the goose is cooked.
I mean, we're going to have to see what happens. Obviously, a lot could change. I did want to, before I respond to what you just said, I also want to throw this up on screen. Apparently, Representatives Mikey or Shrill, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that.
Mikey Shrill, yeah,
from New Jersey. Sounds like a New Jersey guy.
Mikey Shrill, come on. These are good people.
And now Pat Ryan are also publicly calling on him to withdraw. This could easily open the floodgates for Democrats from competitive districts, which is likely more significant than safe seat Democrats doing so, both in terms of influencing the Democratic congressional leadership and then ultimately Biden. Even a small trickle of these so-called frontline Democrats is likely to have an outsized impact. My odds have always been that substantially lower than what the Democratic insider consensus appeared to be. Yada, yada, yada. This is Michael Tracy, by the way. But I think he's right. I do think that even just like 5 more Democrats, specifically from vulnerable districts, coming forward and being like, enough is enough. The whole ship is going down. SOS. I do think that would be significant, that would genuinely open the floodgates. I also think that Ryan Grimm was 100% correct that once this NATO meeting is done and all those leaders have left Washington, I also feel like at that point shit's really going to get real as well. Because again, they don't want to do all this when like world leaders are in town. That would be so humiliating for Joe Biden. And just from like from the perspective of this whole conference and it going smoothly, like what would even happen? Like who would fill in for Biden? They have to finish this up. And then he can gracefully be pushed aside or step down or whatever. But yeah, I do think it's coming.